Hello.
Well, oh, hi there. It is halftime at Fiddlers Green in Colorado. This is getting redundant, but another hell of a first set by Dead and Company, minus Bill Kreutzmann. You've surely noticed again, but we are told by management that Billy is taking these two shows in Colorado off and will be back on the job in Arizona come Monday, which is pretty sensible given the warmer climes down there and the fact that he had some respiratory problems. A little bit of an infection is what he said. So
Yeah,
we're looking
Fiddler's
forward to
Green is
Bill
about a
being
mile up in the air, too, so it's a good place not to have risky lung behavior.
indeed. So wishing Billy to recover all the way by Monday. We're sure he will. He's a resilient guy. And thanks again to Jay for doing such a fine job. David, want to run down the set list?
I do. They began with Good Times, Feel Like a Stranger, Alabama Getaway, Me and My Uncle, which took some really interesting, went some interesting places. Hurts Me Too, Ramble on Rose, O'Teal's beautiful vocal, and If I Had the World to Give, and then Deal, and they closed Deal by sort of, Bobby just kind of swept them into a little reprise of Good Times at the end. That was really nice to
Right.
hear. Really sweet.
Always on their toes, these boys. So this is what we call dead air with Lambert and Gans, or someone else called it that, and we happily accepted the gig. I am Gary Lambert. Over there is David Gans, and we are here at halftime to talk a little bit. I think maybe a fairly brief one we hear this evening, but maybe we should get to our distinguished guest right away.
Well, let's do that. We can schmooze a little more about the other stuff we have to take care of, but we would be happy to welcome back the head of the Rex Foundation and a man with a pretty interesting history in the Grateful Dead world. Cameron Sears is with us again tonight.
Hey, fellas, how are we tonight? Sounds like an exciting night of music out there in Denver, huh?
He's making no secret of his baseball partisanship, people.
There we go.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, such is Cameron's dedication to the Rex Foundation that he allowed himself to be pulled away from his beloved Red Sox, who are currently on the brink of something. So
yeah,
he's have faith. Anyway,
well, I'll be quick to add that not only am I a longtime fan of the Red Sox, but they have also been big supporters of the Rex Foundation, coming to the table on some of our Jerry Garcia nights during Days Between, and we've had Grateful Dead nights at Fenway. And in fact, this past year, we did a really cool thing. We had a Jerry Garcia night at Fenway, and then we took a show from Shoreline at the end of the game and put it up on the big screen at Fenway, so the people who stuck around for that that was kind of fun. Yeah, that was the first.
I love that. Cool. And of course, Boston has a bit of history as a great Deadhead town over many years. So very, very apt. Since we are segueing talking about support of the Rex Foundation, Cameron, why don't we start off by talking about some of the recent initiatives of Rex and some of your recent grantees?
Yeah, that's great. We just had a board meeting this past year. Our initiative for this year and probably into 2022 is we're closing in on having given away close to $10 million in grants since inception.
Wonderful.
So Rex Foundation was created in 1984, as you guys know. I think weren't the first shows at Marin Vets. We probably all three of us were there. So, that was a mighty fun time and a great initiative began. And so here we are, gosh, what is it, 1984? So we're 38 years, is that right? 30 something years,
37,
37 into the experiment and closing in on $10 million. And we're about $300,000 shy starting this year. And this year we'll probably have dented that amount by another 100 or so thousand. So in the next year, we will eclipse the $10 million mark in funds granted to over 1,300 organizations in increments of no more than $10,000. So we've hit a lot of places, and it's all based on this synergistic relationship that the music and the fans share with the community at large. And people tell us about things that are happening out in the universe that might be good recipients of funds. And we've really had a really great run with it all. So, some of
Anybody
the
who's
recent.
watching this, anybody who's watching this right now can make a donation directly to the Rex Foundation anytime by going to rexfoundation.org, and it's tax deductible, right, Cameron?
It's tax deductible. That's right. Might as well give it to a good charity as opposed to the federales, right? So, this last round of grants, we had some really interesting proposals, and one of the things that we're really excited about, I mentioned previously when I was on with you guys, and it's developing nicely, is we're creating kind of a coalition of studios that are very simple, one microphone, laptop studios where they can be deployed in refugee camps or on Native American reservations. And the concept behind them is to provide the tools for them to reach a broader audience, for them to tell their native stories, pass on the language within the tribes or the communities, as well as giving the youth an opportunity to perform music, record, learn technique, and share it between other constituencies. And we've got a setup up in the Pine Ridge Reservation that's going to deploy here soon, that's going to be placed in a bus so it can travel around the res, so that it's not, the res is so big, we thought, why not put it in a bus and have it be mobile? And it's basically a one-room mobile recording studio that can go anywhere, and people can do podcasts, preserve their native tongue, teach the traditions to the youth, make sure that they're preserved, as well as go forward-looking and recite poetry, create new songs, and put it out into the universe. So we're very excited about that. Couple other interesting projects along the same vein, and these are both really interesting in that we're focusing on getting women involved in the recording arts and in the creative process of making music. So one program that we're working with is the NVIDIA Foundation, which is doing work primarily in Armenia, but now they've got an initiative in Malawi where they're going to start with, again, a very simple approach, 5 laptops, few microphones, and start getting women engaged in learning the recording arts and performance arts and collaboration amongst each other. Very cool program. And wonderful. Similarly, there's another program here in the States called FemHouse, which is encouraging women here in the United States to learn production technique, get involved in the technical aspects, but also create opportunities for them to become DJs and really experience the form of making this various art, new art forms, I should say, public. So that's kind of cool too. All of these guys are doing it on a shoestring, and we know one of the things that we look for are people that are really doing innovative stuff at a very grassroots level. And when we give them $5,000 or $10,000, we know that it's going to go right into the program and have a direct impact on what it is that they're trying to promote. So it's exciting stuff.
Indeed, it is.
I know David, you'd get that. You've made a few records on your own, so you can appreciate what it takes to do this, and you can do it with a laptop and a mic now.
That's right. All of the tools exist at really affordable levels, and that thing of now getting somebody out there to teach the skills to go with those tools that's huge, man. That's so wonderful of what you're doing.
Yeah, and it's amazing that this is one of the real, we talk about the digital revolution in the recording sphere. It's had some negative impacts perhaps in some spheres, but this is one of the positive ones because now technology has become so accessible and so affordable and so approachable. It's really remarkable that you don't need to have a lot of skill to get started in this, and you can just go from there. You just keep digging, and it's the world's your oyster, basically. Kind of fun,
right? And you've also made the chain of communication between artist and completed product and artist and audience that much more direct, without going through the incredible hierarchy of record companies and distributors and all that stuff. And that's what, it has impacted the record business in some negative ways, but it's also kind of democratized the making and distribution of
Right.
music in some fantastic ways.
And I think, people who are underexposed, or dare I say, not even known at all, have the greatest opportunity for exposure through the digital medium, honestly. I mean, I think
Yeah.
there's nowhere to go but up, in a sense.
Yeah, I once a musician that I know once posted that he was starting a record label, and I said, pretty soon it's going to be one man, one label, and he said, he said
Yeah.
the roof has come down so low, nowadays that anybody can do it. Really, it also means that you
That's
can't
right.
make as much money as you used to in this business, but it's much more democratized, as you say, because the tools are so inexpensive now.
That's right. The thing that we're really also, very excited about is sort of the preservation of traditions. As technology infiltrates these disparate places, there's a watering down of what made them so special to begin with. And this will allow for people to preserve that, should they be so inclined, obviously. But that's a big component of this, is preserving language, preserving the native stories, the traditions of the tribes and the people that are represented in these far-flung places, so that it's there for all of us to appreciate, really.
Great.
Terrific.
Hey, Cameron, we're on kind of
Yeah.
a short leash as far as time is concerned. We're
I don't
told,
believe it.
Our little set break will be a little shorter than usual. We wanted to ask you, since we've talked about Rex a lot, we want to talk about you a bit and how you found your way into this band of outlaws that was the Grateful Dead, and how you got the job, and talk a little bit about the wild experiences over the years. So why don't you start us with how you wound up working for the band?
Well, it's ironically, it has a very direct tie-in with Rex. Back in the early 80s, I had been a fan of the band for quite some time, and I fully appreciated their philanthropic ways. And I was a longtime river guide, worked throughout the West, Grand Canyon, California, and I had gotten my degree at UC Santa Cruz in environmental studies and political theory. And I was working on an effort to preserve the last free-flowing section of the Tuolumne River that flows out of Yosemite National Park. And in fact, the Tuolumne is the river that supplies all of San Francisco with its drinking water. And it was the cause of the damming of the Hetch Hetchy Valley in Yosemite Park, really started the Sierra Club. So it had a long environmental story to it. But now in the 80s, they wanted to put another dam on it, would have caused it to become just one staircase of lakes going all the way down to the Central Valley. And it was a pristine, river, beautiful whitewater, Class 5 run. And so I wrote the band a letter, and I invited them to come on a river trip with me and learn about water politics in California. And a couple, weeks went by. I walked over to the office and actually handed it to my future mother-in-law, Eileen Law, and said, "Hey, I've got this idea." So she's, Eileen, she's so sweet and so adorable. She said, "Oh, that's just great. Thank you so much. And, I'll put it up on the bulletin board," which she did. And I called her back a couple of weeks later, and she said, "Better not to call us. We'll call you." So I kind of said, "Oh, okay. I guess that kind of went by the wayside." But then about a month and a half later, Danny Rifkin called me, and he said, "I got 20 people who want to go on a river trip. Can we still do it?" I said, "Let's go." So I got to know Danny and a bunch of people from the office, and I think we got a $10,000 grant from the Rex Foundation. I think we were number 30, maybe, out of now 1,300. And we became fast friends. And I took Bill Graham down the river. I took a lot of people on trips. And in an effort to preserve the river, we end up protecting the river. And it's now a wild and scenic river in California. And shortly thereafter, they were getting geared up. This was after Jerry had come out of the coma and said, "Hey, John McIntyre was then managing," and he said, "I could use your help. You want to come work with me?" And I said, "Sure, why not? That sounds great." So I couldn't believe it. And I don't think many of the guys in the band probably could believe it either. And I I started working in '87 with the guys. So it was really, really. I mean,
That was like
everything was taking off.
that, literally. That's like the moment it all started to go completely insane.
Yeah, exactly.
What a
The
moment!
funny part about I've worked, but the first show that I did was down in Ventura Fairground, and we flew down in small planes, and on the first day, John had the flu, backstage, and he couldn't get the band on stage. So he said, Cameron, I don't know what to tell you, but you got to start the show. And I'm like, okay, what do I do? He says, well, give them 30 minutes and then give them 10 minutes and tell Robbie it's time to, okay. So, I go around, I'm actually introducing myself to the guys and say, hey, John might have mentioned you, he was hiring me. I'm Cameron. He's sick. You got to go to work, So, yeah, it was pretty.
And they threw you right into
fun.
it, didn't they?
Yeah, it was right into the fire. Yeah, I don't even think I got the frying pan. So it was pretty funny.
That's amazing. Hey, I need to quickly just interrupt you and remind people that one of the things that's happening right now is a free preview of set 2 of the Dead and Company show tonight on nugs.net. If you're watching this on YouTube or on Facebook Live, Nugsnet would like you to go over to livedead.co and convert this into a paid viewing of the entire show. You're going to get the first song of the second set for free in a few minutes, but they would like you to go back to buy the thing, and then you can go back and watch the first set, and then you'll have 2 whole days to watch the entire show again several times if you're so inclined. And there are also other ways you can do audio downloads in various formats, and you can subscribe to the entire tour and things like that. So I just had to interrupt Cameron to quickly ask you to, when this is over, pay a visit to livedead.co and explore the many ways that nugs.net can bring this amazing music into your ears and eyes. And now back to Cameron.
Right.
Well, that's a great interlude.
Well, Cameron, you mentioned Eileen Law a moment ago, and for those who may be younger and don't know a lot of Grateful Dead history, before we had all this internet stuff and doing everything on your phone, the Grateful Dead had this very direct link to their fans through mailings and through a hotline, a telephone hotline, and ordering tickets by mail. You remember mail, folks, don't you? And Eileen, among many wonderful tasks she performed for the Grateful Dead, was the soothing voice on the telephone who told people what the tour dates were going to be and when tickets went on sale, and how to get them, what the mail order dates were. And she always ended with "thank you" and "stay in touch," which we've been doing ever since. And then you went on to marry Eileen's daughter, Cassidy, who is not only a wonderful person, but the subject of at least half a Grateful Dead song.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, when Eileen comes by, we'll sometimes tease her and say, "Hey, Eileen, is the band playing at the Greek Amphitheatre?" She had that California slang. But you'd call the hotline to try and figure out how to get your tickets, but her voice was so soothing and so kind of calming. Everybody who called was just completely stressed out. Oh God, I got it. Did I put the period at the end of the sentence right and all this kind of stuff? But the way she delivered it, it was like a warm glass of milk. You kind of like, oh, okay, it's all good. I'll get my tickets. Eileen's got it under control. Yeah, thank you.
That's right.
But
That's right.
She loved that job. She loved doing that. That was a fun thing.
She was really good at it.
Yeah,
In
years
my
ago there
early
was
days as a journalist. Go ahead, Gary.
Some years ago, there was an exhibit of Grateful Dead memorabilia here in New York, and they had one of the phone machines with the outgoing message on it, and you could take an old-fashioned handpiece off the phone and listen to Eileen's message. And I swear, the moment I heard her voice, I started tearing up. It was like, aw, home again.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, today she had called us because she noticed something on one of the websites that she goes, that's not the way it's supposed to be. It was supposed to be done like this and like that. And I'm like, Eileen, you don't have to worry about that anymore. You haven't been working for them for like 15 years, but it's who she is.
Yeah.
She can't separate, and she believes so strongly in the band and the fans and that connection. And I mean, it's one that she shared. She felt it viscerally and still does. It's a beautiful thing.
She was so great to deal with. In my early days as a music journalist, BAM magazine had a dead ahead column and they put me in charge of it. So part of my thing was to call her up and find out what was going on, and I'd go by and visit and stuff. And she was just as friendly and welcoming as the day is long. And she'd give me a little, whatever little gewgaws and souvenirs came in, she'd share stuff, I mean, it was just to go hang out with her and visit in that office on the second floor was so much fun in the early days,
Yeah,
before things
totally. And
you know,
I would be remiss if I didn't say that, Eileen has been a big supporter of the Rex Foundation and has provided us with, you know, she gathered everything. She was always an archivist. She was the original art, not the audio archivist, that was Dick, but she collected everything else. A lot of stuff that was destined for the dumpster, because it's like, oh, who wants these old, 45s? Nobody plays 45s anymore, or this or that. And she kept a little stash and just kind of kept it to the side. And now, through her foresight, we auction some of these things off at the Rex Foundation events, and people are thrilled to get them. It's a great connection for them to have, and it's got a great pedigree. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah. Hey, Cameron, we've gotten word our video crew has a couple of extra tasks to attend to tonight before the band retakes the stage, so we actually have to bail now. It was a little brief. We could go on forever with you, but on the other hand, you get to go back to the Red Sox, so everybody wins.
That's
so
right.
Thank you
Don't
so much for
spoil it
joining us.
me.
All right.
Great to
we
see
hope
you
to talk
guys.
to you soon, Cameron.
Have a great night. Awesome.
Thank
All right.
you,
Best of the
Cameron.
family. All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
When they come and take you down, when they bring that wagon round, and when they come to call on you and drag your poor body down, just one thing I ask of you, just one thing for me. Please forget you know my name, my darling, Sugaree. Shake it, shake it, Sugaree. Just don't tell her you know me. Shake it, Sugaree. Just don't tell her you know me. You thought you was the cool fool and never could do no wrong. Yes, sir. You had everything sewn up tight. How come you lay awake all night long? Just one thing I ask of you, just one thing for me. Please forget you know my name, my darling, Sugaree. Shake it, Sugaree. Just don't had to stand out in the